All right, so there we go. So I am Scott Bergeron. This is Don Lawrence, and we're here at Century 21 Curran Oberski. And we just wanted to throw this out to folks and see if anybody had any real estate questions. We'll stay on as long as we need to, as long as folks have questions. We got a couple topics that we'll go and talk about a little bit, and we'll go from there. So fire questions off anytime you want, and let's see what happens. Okay. Mr. Derek Fritz, how are you, sir? Good to see you. All right. So, Don, let me ask you this question.
Sure.
What's going on in the market right now? Here, Cassidy's in the house. Very nice to see you, sir. What's going on in the market right now? What do you think?
Well, there's not as many homes on the market as there are buyers, so it's a seller's market at this time, which is a good thing if you're thinking about selling a house. Buying a house might be a little bit tougher, but we definitely can help you find a house if that's something you want to go in that direction.
Yeah. So here's what I was thinking, and I kind of. I hear this all the time. Like you hear stuff that the coast, like the east and west coast, is kind of slowing down a little bit. I think in Michigan, what's happening is that there's just such a lack of inventory. Nancy, how are you, my dear cousin? Good to see you. There's such a lack of inventory, and I think that's kind of driving price. So, but let me ask you this question though. So, what do you think the spring's going to be like?
The way things are shaping up, it's going to be tighter for home buyers. And sellers are going to get better prices, but you have to still be within the realm of what it will appraise for. It has to be with what the market value will hold and what an appraiser will appraise it at. So if you're thinking about selling, now is a great time to really sell.
Yeah.
Especially in the spring, it's going to be really hot. And then it'll slow down again in the summer, and people go on vacations, want to spend time with their families, and not as house hunting as much. Then it'll pick up again in the fall.
Yeah, so I was telling people, I did a couple video clips the last couple of weeks, and the big thing for the spring, if you're buying, you want to buy or start looking now. That's what I was telling people, because you're going to be, and you know how this works, you're going to be like the 6th offer out of 10, or even like a 3rd offer out of 8 or something like that in the spring. So now is a good time to be out there looking for sure.
Yeah, there's less of that competition right now, and it will start heating up March, especially April. I think April will be usually hot. It was last year was pretty hot. So
yeah. So I got a quick message from Cindy Blair, and she says, "I can't spell, Scott. You found us this beauty." Absolutely, we did. That's the house on Crane. I was actually, Cindy, to be honest with you, I have a client or somebody that's kind of just starting to look, and they're like, "I'm really picky," and I said, and they want to be out in that Ann Arbor area. I go, "Listen, I know a great neighborhood for you. So if any of your neighbors want to sell, not you because you love that house, you and the dogs, but if any of your neighbors want to sell, let me know." John Wilson in the house. Jeff Miat, how are you? Good to see you guys. We're just talking real estate. So if you got any questions, fire them off at us. So let me ask you this one. What do you love about the real estate business? What do you love about it?
What do I love the best about it?
Yep.
I like helping people. I'm a people person. I really enjoy helping people. Help them along the process of making one of the biggest decisions in their life, and it's purchasing a home, and hopefully making a decision where they're going to stay there for a while, and see some appreciation. And usually, it's most people's biggest asset, and you want to make sure it's a wise decision that you make. And I love helping people make that decision.
Okay, very cool, very cool.
How about you?
Well, so for me, Shelly Nichols, good to see you. So for me, I guess a couple things. Like, I love helping people. I'm a big people person too.
Oh yeah.
But I got to tell you, people that watch Facebook for me, I love homes. Like, people do so many crazy things with homes. Like yesterday, I'll give you an example. Okay, I was over on the east side in Warren helping a couple out that I known through wrestling, right? And in the one house, they had like stained glass light fixtures everywhere. And it just stood out to me. I'm going, wow. So I put it out to people, and it amazes me how different people are. Like, some people are like, I think that's so dated. And other people are like, that's awesome. That's just an exciting thing, cool thing to watch. Mm-hmm. Chad Malley's in the house. Bad Chad, how are you, sir? I think there's just so many things that I've seen in homes that it's crazy. Like, I tell you, I'll give you another one. We were looking at a house in Riverview. I was looking at a house in Riverview. This was last fall. It was an older house. It was dated. The guy had designed like a 3D, and I'm not like 3D drawing, but like 3D like forest scene down his steps, right? He had like little tree things coming out at you. It was weird, but it was kind of cool, It was different. Alex, what's going on, my big investor man? How are you, sir? Good to see you. So yeah, so that's what I got for that. Who's got questions, guys? What kind of questions do you have? Lots of people looking in to see what's going on. What kind of questions do you have? Throw them out at us. Let us know what you're curious about. Something that I'm wondering, and I for being in the business a while, you get this too. Good shout out, Alex. Good to see you. What question do you get asked a lot, like in general? Because I know, like when I go to a party and I say something about real estate, it doesn't take long until somebody goes, blah, 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 and they start asking you all these questions. Angel Walker in the house. So what's the first question people ask you besides how's the market? I know that's a big one. What else?
If it's just somebody that you just walk in, you haven't seen in a while, or you're just talking to someone at a party.
Well, even like a family. I go to a family get together and they go, hey, but what about this?
They always ask about how's the market.
Yeah.
How's business for you?
Yeah.
Business typically is good, but you always want to help more people, and the more people you can help, the better it is for you and for your business, and it's a great thing to help others.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Help,
so I want to answer Shelly Nichols' question. She kind of seems like she came in a little late. So the market is going strong on the seller side. There's still a humongous, absolutely humongous lack of inventory. So on the sell side, Shelly, it's a huge thing. J.R. Alberta, good to see you. Wiggs, what's going on, man? So we've got to rehash that a little bit, okay? So for me, like the question, it always turns into this. I'll give you an example. I was just sitting there at a party and I had the new iPad that I had with me, and somebody goes, well, what about this neighborhood? I always get neighborhoods or I always get cities. Like, I wish I could move to this city or this town or whatever. So you pull your iPad out and you start looking, and I feel like I had this one lady, I was talking to that party one time, and she was like, I'm really picky, and I've seen everything. So I pulled it out, and I'm starting looking. Like, she wanted to look Ann Arbor. That's where she wanted to be in. She was in Ann Arbor. I want to look at Ann Arbor. So she wanted to be in Ann Arbor. And so I said, well, what about like the little townships, like Lodi Township and all these other little burgs that are out there? And so I pulled it up. There was like 70 homes in her price range around Ann Arbor that weren't in Ann Arbor. So it's a little cheaper. You know what I mean? I get that a lot. People have a really good idea, or I think a good idea of what they're looking for, but maybe they're just not looking, or they're just waiting for something. I feel like I get that a lot. Like, I give you another example. So like the condo you listed today in Plymouth, right? So my aunt and uncle, they want to move out that way. So as soon as you said that, I'm like, yeah, let me send it to them right away before I even put it on the market this afternoon. The only problem is stairs. So how many folks, let me ask this question, how many folks want the ranch that don't want stairs? Diane Lindsay, good to see you, young lady. Steve Markey, Fat Guys and Little Podcast. I'll be on your show on Sunday, buddy. I'll be there.
I've heard about you, Steve.
That's right. You want double trouble, you get Don and I on your show. They're crazy. Those guys are crazy. So, yeah. So, other thing I want to think about, I want to ask a question. Like, if you had to give buyers a good piece of advice, okay, what advice would you give them?
I think the biggest thing that people want, sometimes people want to buy a house that needs a little bit of work and you're going to get it at a reduced rate. Typically, that doesn't always happen. Typically, it needs a lot of work, and there's a lot of could be potential problems that are hidden that you don't really see. I think the best thing to do is if you can find a house that has an updated kitchen or updated bathroom. You're not going to find a house that has everything. But if you have something that has maybe one of the bigger ticket items, like a new kitchen, or two new bathrooms, or really nicely finished basement, it's one less thing you have to deal with. So I think if you can find one that's got a really big kitchen, that would be a big deal. You're asking what are some of the questions you get. One of the questions that I get from buyers when I'm showing houses and when they're ready to write an offer, what's a good price for this house? And what you always do is I do the comparables that are near other homes that sold very similar to that house, and you can look at them and you can look at the pictures of what each individual house had, and come up with a price that will be market value, that's fair to the seller, that's fair to the purchaser, and that's the goal, is make it a win-win situation for the buyer and for the seller. They both feel like they're getting the right amount of money, and the buyer's paying the right amount. So
sure.
And a lot of it has to do with the comparables that are in the area.
Yeah. So I want to answer a couple questions folks had. So the first question that came out was, is your assistant available for questions? Chris Bergeron is the heart and soul of the Bergeron team, and she's not available for questions now, but we'll bring her on for maybe the next Wednesday or something like that. So that's one. Second question is from Steve Markey. He wants to know what happens when your father-in-law comes to a showing. So when your father-in-law comes to a showing, you let them do whatever they want. You let them go on the roof. You let them check everything out, as long as they got one more question. It's kind of an inside joke between Steve and I. Now, I got a big hi from Mike McLaughlin. He is my go-to preferred lender. If anybody's ever worked with Mike, he is the absolute best. He gave me the selfie stick to work this thing so I can do this show, so I appreciate that. Maybe we'll have him on one time. He can do some talk some mortgages and stuff like that. So that'd be a good thing.
Mike knows his stuff, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Kyle Esper in the house, my man. All right, so piece of advice for buyers I would tell you. So there's a lot of stuff when it comes to buyers that goes on. Let me put it that way to you. So the thing I always put back on folks is, how bad do you want this house, right? Because it's a shortage, like you said, a shortage of inventory. So there's lots of stuff you can do to make your offer more attractive, right? Mm-hmm. So things that I always tell people, what you got to do is give them enough reasons to say yes to your offer. You know what I mean? Coach Mitch Lasinski in from Georgia. If you want to buy a house in Michigan, buddy, when you're back up here, come on up. I hear it's raining down there like crazy. So when you want to get out of that rain, you come up here to Michigan, buddy. So, like, here's some things that I do, Don. You tell me if I'm based on this stuff. So I'll always tell people you want to make the shortest inspection period you can for private inspection.
That helps.
Right. So
yes.
Normally people have the 7-day window. I tell them to come to the 5. That's one. 2, I always tell them that, the buyer's got great credit, those kind of things. Another thing I do, and I don't know if you agree with this, you tell me if you do or don't. I got this from another experienced realtor from when I first started business, is that we never split on the buy side. I never split title work. And what that means, folks, to you is usually a buyer's agent has a title company and a listing agent has a title company. All that means is there's about 7,000 hands in the pot going, asking questions and firing all over the place. That's craziness. There she is. Beth, how are you?
And the thing is with that is the title companies are doing the same exact thing. You just got more people in the middle of the process, and it doesn't do any good. Real estate title work is pretty much regulated in the state of Michigan, and they all charge the same thing. So you're not getting any value going somewhere else, and a lot of agents do that. And it just complicates it sometimes because then you have to get another company and group of people involved, and they have to be at the closing. So it's another person that has to be there.
Nikki, how the heck are you? Karen Nelson, how the heck are you? Good to see you. So let me put it this way. Another thing I was thinking about too is I always put at the end, I always put like reasons why you should accept our offer. And one of them is Bergeron team is really easy to work with. And let me tell you what I mean. So I just had one today, a house a buyer didn't appraise. And like I kept reiterating to the listing agent, I kept saying, look, let's make this work. Because basically that's what our job is, yeah? Mm-hmm. Our job is to kind of know how things work and help make things move, make things work.
Facilitate the sale.
Right, because you got somebody, a couple over here that has a home, right? They might have emotional attachment to it. You got a buyer that's real excited. So our job is to kind of get in the middle and go, okay, look, let's figure out how to make this thing work. So I'm going to make that work. I told the girl today, I told her like 3 or 4 times, I said, look, the listing agent, I said, let's make this work. What do we got to do? So I care about those folks that are my clients, and we're just going to find a way.
Right.
So it might involve all kinds of goofy, messy stuff.
Mr.
Morris, how are you, sir? Good to see you.
One of the things that I think is extremely important that I don't see a lot of agents do, especially on the listing side when I represent the seller, is a buyer's agent. Call the agent before you submit an offer, before you write an offer. Call the agent, see what information they're willing to give you, and explain and find out what you can about where the seller might be moving, what their motivation may be. If they're willing to disclose that, they don't have to, but if they'll give you some information that will help you put together an offer that will be strong, that you will be able to compete with. And most agents will not take that extra step and make that phone call. It's such an easy thing. There'll be times I'll get an offer from we had been negotiating an offer on one of my listings with a seller, have come to an agreement the night before. The next morning there's a offer in my email from an agent I never knew that they were even interested, the buyer that's ever even interested in the property, and here it is sold.
Yep.
It already has an accepted offer by the seller.
Yep.
If I would have known that the there was a buyer out there that was interested, I would have asked the seller, what do you want to do? You want to hold off, see what their offer is? We'll wait till the next day, and it helps both parties. And the buyer doesn't even get a chance to submit their offer, even though they did. They sent it over, but it's already a contract had already been signed.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So, a couple more shout outs. I got Robbie Bunker, working hard in the city of Dearborn Heights. How are you, sir? Good to see you. So let's think about this. What's some good advice you can share with sellers? What's some good advice you can share? Maybe one or two little nuggets you got.
Number one is have your house in tip-top shape, clean, everything organized, not cluttered. I think is a really big thing.
Travis Casey, good to see you, sir.
When a buyer pulls up the house, they're already judging your house, and buyers have a pro list and a con list. They're putting things on a positive or the negative side, and the more things you can put on the buyer on the positive side, the easier it is going to be to sell your house.
Yeah.
The second thing is price. Price is the biggest thing on everything, and you want an agent that will explain to you, explain the market, what's going on in the market, show and prove to you what the market is doing, especially in your specific area, and explain what their thought is, and you will come together and make the price up. The price will be based on the market, what's there. We don't make the market up. They just don't make the market up. A buyer and a seller that have come to agreement, especially on a house that have already sold and closed.
So Robbie Bunker, I want to give you a quick shout out. My mom loves coming to see you, buddy. So definitely she loves coming to see you too, sir. So I appreciate that. So I would say there's a couple of things, and it's, if I wasn't a real estate agent, okay, and somebody came to me and said, look, you should start your price, Houston Garcia in the house, you put your price here because you're hoping for it to go up. Carolyn Babbitt's agent, insurance agent, how are you, dear? So people always talk about bidding wars and things like that, but I want to address it this way, that your house is worth the most the first day on the market. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people, if in this market that we're in, if you have not, Ms. Kurtz, how are you? If you have not got an offer in the first 2 weeks, then we did something wrong. Because it's the market that we're in. If you don't have some people coming through your house, then we did something wrong. I always tell people too, it's counterintuitive, meaning this, that no other, Chrissy McCall, good to see you, girl. There's no other thing where you see a price on something and then you go, well, I'm going to give you more than that. No other thing that I can think of. You know what I'm saying? So Steve Bennett, what should I do first? Put my house up for sale or find a home I like first? Okay, so it depends. And I'm not trying to shortchange your answer there. Sean Nickel in the house, good to see you. Miss Welch, good to see you. So I usually tell folks that you should get a pending offer on your house to go look for the new one. But here's the hard part. If you're looking for something real specific, like let me give you an example. I've got a client right now, I just referred to him earlier, that they went and found their house first and they listed their house afterward. Now, typically a good listing agent is going to see an offer that says, pending the sale of my home. They're going to ask you, you go, hey, look, does it get offers on the house yet? If you say it's not even listed, a lot of times they're going to say no. Or they're going to give you like 2 or 3 days to get something happening. So I typically tell folks that they should list their house first and then get an offer and then go look. But it's happened other way after that too. So that's kind of where that goes. So Don, what do you think?
Well, sometimes it depends on your financial situation. If you can go and find a house first, that way you're not under the stress of finding the right house if you have that ability. Most people don't. Most people have to sell their house, close on that, take the proceeds from that to buy the next house and put the money down on that house. So, but we do it all the time. We do it every day. Sell one home.
Rob Moren's in the house.
We can always protect you to make sure that it's subject to you finding a home and closing on that home before you close and sell on your house.
Yeah.
So there's ways to protect you. It's just sometimes it's just part of the process, and you just have to work through it.
Yeah. So, Mr. Bennett, did that answer your question? Let me know if that answered your question. If you got a follow up, let me know that too. Okay, folks, we're gonna go some more advice for you. So let's talk about investors. Like what do you see from investors? What do they focus on? All those kind of things. I know there's some folks that are thinking about investing. I got a couple of friends of mine that are definitely are new to the investment market and they ask a lot of questions. So I try to give them the best I can.
So what type of investments? Are renting or fixing up and trying to repair, fixing it up and flipping it?
Well,
What
so
they
flipping
say.
the flip market. Oh, Steve, I appreciate it. So you give me a buzz anytime. So here's my crazy plug. 313-969-0407, sir. So you call me anytime. Go ahead. So we're talking about flip markets kind of died down, and there's not that much available to flip, do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of competition in that business. You have to have a really sharp pencil with that, and you can get in trouble with that if you get into a property that takes more money to fix it up and get it up to today's standards. You could possibly be overpriced or not enough money in there to make a profit off it that you'd want. So
Yep.
it's kind of a little more sketchier. You have to really have a sharp pencil on that. The other one would be renting, buying a house and renting.
Yep.
The biggest thing, being I've been a landlord in the past, and you have to. It's a business, and you have to treat that as a business, and it's hard to. It can sometimes be difficult to kick somebody out of your house,
Yeah.
or your property, and you have to have the.
Well, that's
backbone to
Jack's in
do
the
that.
house.
You have to have the backbone to do that. So, but it is a good way to make money. It's a hands-on. It's a business, and you have
Yep.
to treat it as such.
So let me kind of share a couple things about investing for around the rental side. So I agree 100% with you that if you are, how am I going to phrase this? If you are a very nice person, like you don't ever like to let people down or hurt people's feelings, you probably shouldn't be a landlord.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example, and I'll use an example that from our own family. So my mom was a landlord. She had a home in the North Heights, okay? And she had some folks in there that were there for 3-4 years, something like that. And at some point, their circumstances must have changed, and they weren't bringing any money. So I went over to the house and I said, you guys, you're behind your rent, you got to pay up, and they disappeared. And then I went inside the house, and it was just beat up and trashed. So I would always tell people, unless you do this all the time, like I got a couple guys that buy houses and rent them out all the time. If you're going to do a couple, or if you're just getting started, use a rental management company. Find one that's inexpensive, that's only going to charge, 10-20%, something like that, and go that route, because they do everything. They handle the rent, they handle the calls, they handle everything for that stuff. So I strongly suggest to people not to get their hands into it unless they want to do that all the time. So I wanted to mention Carolyn Babbitt's. My cousin mentioned something about bidding wars. That they're a huge problem.
Right.
On the buy side, they are. On the sell side, that's what you want. You want bidding wars, but you got to process. You got to put it at a price that's going to make that happen. Josh Sutton, you call me anytime, sir. It'd be great to hear from you.
That's true about the bidding wars. If the house you can't put it just any price on it. It has to be priced. It still has to be priced accordingly to the market.
Yep.
And people aren't gonna bid on it if it's too high. If they are, they're gonna be at the market value anyway. So.
Yep.
You'll end up at that point somehow, some way. So.
Gotcha. So what other questions do you guys have? Come on, reach out to me. There's plenty of folks on here. Go ahead and reach out and just give us some questions that you have, because we would love to take your questions. I got a couple more things that we'll share. Yeah, that's exactly like you said. Bidding wars, Carolyn, is definitely on the sell side. They're great. On the buy side, rough. There she is. How are you, dear? Good to see you. We'll do this. If we get Kevin Bora in the house, legend, Kevin Bora. I'll share a couple more things, and then if we don't get any more questions, we'll shut it down for the day. But we'd love to have your questions. Like I said, anything you want to ask. Josh, good to see you, sir. So if you have any questions at all, I'll do this. We'll share some funny stories. You got any good funny stories?
I don't know. I don't have anything off the top of my head.
I definitely got some funny stories.
I will next time though.
So it'll be a self-inflicted good story. So we had a house over on, it's in Dearborn. I want to say like West Point or something like that. It was a nice home, right? Nice home. And I was showing, somebody called and said, we'd love to get a look at this listing. I said, okay, I'm the listing. I'll come on, I'll show it to you. So we're showing it to him. The guy goes, I'd like to go up in the attic. Right? I don't think you might know this one. So he goes, I'd like to go up in the attic. So I says, okay. So I'm in there and I'm walking, and the attic had like, it didn't have, how people put doors and things and flooring down for flooring up in the attic. It didn't have it. Just had a couple nice wood beams, and that was it. So I'm walking in this attic. I'm walking on the beams. All of a sudden, my foot slips a little bit, and I put my foot through the living room ceiling. I mean,
I never heard
like
this
leg deep. I did. I was like this. I'm walking, all of a sudden, whoa, and I went like that. Leg deep it was.
Sounds like Christmas vacation.
Yeah. So I'm like, and I call the seller and I go, I'm really sorry I put my foot right through your attic. Luckily, I have a real good drywall guy. Tom Wenzel, I'll give you a quick shout out. Tom Wenzel is a phenomenal drywall guy. So he repaired it for us and looked better than before.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. That's the other thing too.
That is a funny story.
Yeah, so that's a good one. So a couple questions here. Let's go with Robbie Bunker. Can you purchase a house without a down payment, or is that not possible? Okay, so that's kind of a mortgage question, but I'm going to answer it anyway. A couple of things. You can, if you qualify with a credit score, I want to say 660, 680, I think is where we're at. Mike McLaughlin can pop in and give me the number because I see he's still watching. So MISHDA, the state of Michigan, will help you with down payment money. Every once in a while, every couple of years, they'll do this thing where they'll give you $15,000. I got a couple clients on here. It's 640 credit score. Thanks, Mike. They'll do this thing where they'll tell MISHDA they'll give you $15,000. That's a huge down payment. They'll make you take the whole amount. Okay, and after every year, it'll come off $3,000. So it's not something you got to pay back, Robbie. But if you use the normal MISHDA, that's like a second lien on your house. So I got a buddy of mine that used it, and he wants to sell his house now because his life circumstances have changed. And you always got to remember that down payment money, if it's $7,500 or whatever, that's a second mortgage on your house. It's just that lien sits there, and you got to pay that back when you sell. So I don't know if Michigan's going to pop up with those things. So down payment assistance right now is $750. Yeah, I got a client that's going to close in the next week or so that's using that now. So yeah. That's a good question. Yeah, $7,500. Yeah, $7,500. So come on, you got one funny story for me.
I don't. I didn't know you were going to throw that up there. I wish I would have.
Let me think about another interesting. So I'll give you a scary story. I got a scary story?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was with our investor client, and we were looking in Inkster. We were in Inkster. It's a Sunday morning, about 10 o'clock. So we go in the basement, and all of a sudden, Tracy Croneman in the house. How are you, sir? And we go in the basement, and all of a sudden I start hearing all these footsteps, like heavy footsteps, and doors shutting. So, and nobody's talking. Like I hear no sound or anything like that. So I told her, I said, look, we're going to stay down here and be quiet, and then we're going to leave. Eventually, I had to call 911 and say, hey, come make sure they're okay here. Robbie, I appreciate that, sir. If you need any questions at all, you call me, you reach out to me. Like I said, 313-969-0407.
So what happened?
So the cops came, and I mean, when people took off, they must have seen the cops coming, and we went and we left. So I got one more good one.
Was anybody in the house?
Eventually, they left. They must have heard the cops coming and left.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was scared. Like I don't get scared much, but I was like, ooh, this is a little scary for me. So, Mr. Bennett, I tell you what, buddy, you do whatever. You give me a call anytime, and if I got to walk the house and help you out and let you know what's going on, no problem. Okay. Let me think. I got another good story. So we see a lot of interesting things in real estate. And I'll close with this unless there's more questions. So I went to this house in Westland. Okay, This house in Westland, and this is the weird stuff that you see. Jamie Can, good to see you, girl. So I went in this house in Westland, and I go in this guy. He had like a library, like a study, right, with bookshelves and everything. So, and the house wasn't that big. It was maybe like 1,200 square feet. So I put my hand on the bookshelf, and all of a sudden it starts to move. You can feel it moving, right? So I'm like, oh my God. And I open up. It's a secret, like a secret passage or a secret opening to a room, to a bedroom. Now that's creepy, isn't it?
And there's no other entrance.
No, I was, and then I looked around, like, so I'm gonna try to make it less creepy. Diane, how you doing, girl? Good to see you. I'm gonna make it less creepy. So the guy had some. It looked like real expensive, like maybe swords and like memorabilia and stuff. So maybe he was trying to keep that stuff safe. But to have there was no window to it either. Like to have a room with like an opening, like a covered entrance. That just scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
Ellen, good to see you, girl. Good to see you.
On?
I know, I'm telling you. So I'll tell you what, we got time for like one or two more questions. What kind of questions do you guys have? Anything about real estate, buying, selling, things you should do to your house, things that you see, things that you're curious about. So we'll take two more questions from you. So that's what I'm waiting on, two more questions. And I will try to think of another fun story. I got another one for you, a similar one. So panic room. I was in a house, again, in Westland. Westland's a weird place like that, I guess. I don't know. So I'm going down the stairs to the basement, right? Going down the stairs to the basement, and I see this like a key, like not a lock, but like a key thing, like a key mechanism that's sticking out of the wall. So you turn it, panic room. In like 1,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
A panic room?
Yeah.
What would you need that for? I mean, like, I don't know. Those things are creepy to me, you know? Those things are creepy.
You wonder what's going on.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I'm waiting for one more question, like I said, and then we're going to call it a night. It's been a great first session. Don Lawrence and Scott Bergeron over at Colonel Oberski on Michigan Avenue. Don, do this for me. What things do you tell people they should have if they're going to remodel? Like they say, come in and go, hey, look I'm going to remodel my house to make it worth more. What do you tell them? We'll end with this one.
It depends. Are they going to stay there for a while, or if they're going to just do it to sell? Cleaning, paint, and maybe new flooring. In the front of the house, when you approach the house, you drive up. The door, if the door looks nice and clean and painted, not rusty or
Good to see you.
Down. Door handles that are tight and work. Just cleanliness makes a big deal. Makes a big difference.
So you don't because I get this sometimes. Should I put Kelly? How you doing, girl? I get. Should I put a new bathroom in, or should I do this to this? I mean, like I get all kinds of crazy. We ever get
What
that?
do you think about that? Yeah,
So,
I do.
I look at it like this.
That's not the thing I would recommend to do at all.
It's a funny thing. I picked this up from an old appraiser that taught at the school I was at. A gentleman by the name of Dale Prusner, and he said to me, he goes, "Look," he goes, "you're never getting that money back.
Right.
If you're gonna use it for your own enjoyment, yep. But nobody's gonna go, hey, you got that new bathroom. Let me give you 10 more grand off on the top of your price." Nobody's gonna say that.
Right.
I mean, could it make it look more aesthetically pleasing if the whole place looks like hell? Maybe.
I think the only thing it's going to help the house sell faster, and that's probably about it. You might get a little bit more money, but not much. If it costs you 10 grand to do the 15, 20 grand to do it, you're not getting 15, 20 grand back.
Yeah.
Additional to the neighbors. So you have your house is identical to the house next door. You have a new kitchen, $30,000 kitchen. Your house is not worth $30,000 more than the house next door.
Yeah. All right, guys. So time for one last question. Has anybody else got a question for us? Anything at all about real estate related? We want to give you an opportunity to ask one more question, and then we're going to call it a night. So I'll give you about another minute or so. This
has been fun.
Yeah, Don and I, we love talking real estate. There she is, Gwen Bennett. How the heck are you? Good to see you. We're just trying to finish up here. If you got any questions at all that you're curious about, just throw them at me and Don and myself. So we love talking real estate.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know that sounds kind of funny, but we'll come in the office and just start talking about stuff, about real estate related stuff. So we love our jobs and helping folks. So we're
always trying to get better.
Yeah.
Always trying to learn more.
Yep.
We don't know everything. And the one thing about our business that I like, that's another thing that I
Yep.
do like about it. It's different almost every single day. And we have a lot of different things we have to deal with to go from the offer, the contract, to the closing table. And it's interesting. It's
Liz Hendricks in the house.
It's not the same every day.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Put it this way. Do you think you learn something from each deal, from each transaction?
Sometimes, not every single. Yeah. I think you do, and I think it could be not just about maybe the process or what happened at that point, but it could be human, how a human how you're interacting with another human.
Yep.
I think that has a lot to do with it. And it's
Pat Hamill, good to see you, bud.
It's interesting.
Definitely.
People are awesome and interesting, and they're making fun. And sometimes it can be stressful. Humans can make things stressful, and that's what I try to do is make something that can be a very stressful experience into a smooth and hopefully fun.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely can work that way. All right, folks. So that's all for tonight. We're going to be on next Wednesday, 7 p.m. If you got any questions on real estate, just reach out to us over here at Colonel Oberski, Century 21 on Michigan Avenue. Have a great night.
Bye.